Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are on the globe. This is Insane Rider, and I'm looking forward to streaming for about a half hour to an hour tonight, going through my top 5 budget decks. If you've been following the channel and my live streams, I've been struggling with some microphone issues, so if you hear something odd or I'm in a tunnel, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'm just going to do a quick sound check, and then we'll be off. All right, everything's set. Let's dive in. So, top 5 budget decks. Started this channel based on friends' input. I played a lot of different MMORPGs, and typically love to play the games that you have to do some type of meta builds. You got to kind of see what's going on. You know, it's typically a lot of these games are paper, rock, scissors, and I'm usually asked, you know, hey, Insane Rider, what do you think is a good build for this rogue or this warrior or, you know, this type of build for a particular character? And I always like to try to dive in and understand what's going on, regardless if I'm playing that particular character class, because if I'm not actually playing it, I'm probably going to come up against it. And so it's good to know what to kind of expect on the other side. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start with my top 5. Starting at number 5, I'm going to share a deck. All of these decks have some things in common. So to be a budget deck, first thing is that they cannot have anything higher than a 3 diamond for a card rarity. So 4 diamonds, which is typically where you see EX cards starting, 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars, and crowns. None of those cards are in the deck. The whole concept behind a budget deck is something that's relatively reasonable to get. I will admit that 3 diamonds sometimes are difficult to snag, and I've had some challenges on occasion trying to fill out a deck with a 3 diamond rarity card I need. So, but overall, I still kind of consider that a budget deck. And along with that, as far as evolutions, that's the other kind of key criteria to a budget deck. You know, you can have any number of evolutions that you need to evolve your Pokemon on that. Now, I also have another rating called an ultra budget deck. Those decks have no higher than a 2 diamond rarity for any card or Pokemon, and also can only contain a stage 1 evolution, so no stage 2s. So if by chance the deck is only 1 or 2 diamonds and has no more than 1 stage of evolution, then I consider that an ultra budget deck, and typically those are even a little bit easier to get just based on the rarity of 2 diamond cards are easier to pull from packs than 3 diamond. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. At number 5, let me pull up my decks here real quick. And at number 5, we're going to start with what I call my poison deck. So I'm going to take a quick review through it, and then from there I'll go ahead and play a match or 2, or come back to it. But the deck build out is 2 Grimer, 2 Muck that Grimer would evolve into, 2 Coughings that would evolve into 2 Wheezings, 2 Potions for healing, 2 X Speeds to help with retreating, 2 Pokeball to summon basic Pokemon, a couple of red cards to reshuffle an opponent's deck. Not as big a deal as if we were playing a regular TCG with 60, cards in a deck, but can be helpful at times. 2 Professor's Research, which is basically a draw 2, and 2 Giovanni, which is a little extra damage. So that's the deck that I'm recommending as a budget deck, top 5, number 5. The key to this deck basically is to try to poison your opponent. You have a couple of ways you can do that. If the hand you're being dealt kind of is bringing you down the coughing, wheezing stage, wheezing has a gas leak ability, and the poison Pokemon just in the active spot The interesting thing about poison is unlike some of the other status effects, you can't coin flip to either get it or coin flip to get rid of it. You only really have two options to remove poison. One is to retreat back to your bench, and two is to evolve the Pokemon. So if either of those two things happen, then you could knock the poison off. But other than that, you wouldn't really want to do things to try to like bring a poison Pokemon back to the bench after you've gone through all the effort to poison it. So you'll see in this build, for example, there's no Sabrina card to do exactly that. So with that said, let's go ahead and queue up with a match. Jump back here. Just gonna do a random versus match and jump over to my poison, and off I go. So again, I'm gonna look to try to get poison applied to my targets. You know, my preference is going to apply poison to a heavy hitter Pokemon of my opponents, not necessarily an initial basic Pokemon, but that can also kind of depend if it's a Mewtwo or Pikachu EX as an example. So it looks like I got a Grimer to start. And from there, that's about all I'm going to be able to do. And it looks like I'm going up against a lightning deck. So here's a little details on the Grimer. So it will apply a poison, which goes hand in hand with Muck, which does an extra 50 points of damage when Muck lands an attack on a poisoned Pokemon. Alright, so I got a little dark energy. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I will start with a Pokeball. See what how the cards do for me tonight. Last night, the hands I was being dealt and the cards I were pulling was pretty poor. So I was making it extra difficult to try to get any wins. So I've got a red card. I think I'll use a red card now just because the other opponent is sitting on a good number of cards. So I can take that 6 cards down to 3. I think that'd be a good investment. From there, I'm not really going to want to use my Giovanni. So I'll just go ahead. Really, I'm just looking to attack. I'll apply poison to that Pikachu. Okay, let's see what my opponent has in store. Last night I came up against a number of Pikachu EX decks, and they pretty much took me out every time. So I wasn't having very good luck against the lightning decks. Let's see if my luck's any better tonight. Alright, so we got one Pikachu EX on the bench, Zapdos EX, and no, my opponent's assigned one energy, lightning energy to the Pikachu EX, and I was hoping for a Muck, but it didn't happen. But I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my coughing to a wheezing. From there, I'll go ahead and put one more energy on my Grimer just because I know I'm going to need it. But other than that, not really going to use my Giovanni. Not going to... Yeah, at this point, I'll just go ahead and attack. Now, I probably could have, looking back on that, maybe could have played my Giovanni and taken that Pikachu out, but I'm kind of holding on to it, looking for a little bit of a bigger score. This Pikachu's kind of so low anyway, so I'm kind of hoping I can get access to one of those EX cards. All right, my opponent's kind of thinking through things. And if you're on, welcome to the stream. Feel free to say hi if you're comfortable in doing so, and to chat. All right, there's Pikachu EX. And let's see what's going to happen from here. All right, so I'm really hoping for a muck. It hasn't happened yet. So I will go ahead and I'm going to place an energy on that Grimer. From there, I think I'll go ahead and throw out another poison gas attack. Okay. Well, so far, looks like I got a 60-point attack coming my way, but that Pokeball's not going to help me. Looks like I'm going to see another Pokemon go to the bench. And here comes the magic of Pikachu EX, one of the best cards in the game. To be able to do up to 90 points of damage with 2 energy is pretty impressive. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put my Wheezing in for the moment. And I'm going to go ahead and play this Professor's Research. So I've had pretty good success with this deck, and in my top 5, I rated it at number 5. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and start off with a poison. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and add some energy. And throw up an attack. This deck could have placed a little higher than 5 in my top 5, but the other 4 decks I've had really good luck with. Some of them are pretty enjoyable to play. So this poison deck came in at number 5. Real good alternative, especially if you come up against the typical Mewtwo EX you would encounter like in a tournament. Okay. And there's 2 down. All right, so Weezing's going to go into the active spot. Haven't really had a whole lot of luck here so far. Let's see. Professor's Research. Another Weezing. From here, I'll go ahead and throw out an energy on there. And go ahead and attack. Alright, so it's tied at 2. And there's where my mistake from earlier would have came in. I could have taken out that Pikachu that's on the bench and have won this game. So you can see these budget decks are competitive. My bad on this particular play. Could have definitely have won this match. All right. Another coughing to pull up. Haven't really got the hand I'm looking for. But doing the best I can with what I've been given. I'll go ahead and that Pokemon poisoned. Follow up with a Giovanni. And do a tackle. So it's 2-2, pretty close match here. I don't think necessarily my opponent's been getting the best hand that they're looking for either. But you can see this particular poison deck is pretty darn competitive. All right, here comes Zapdos. And of course, when a Pokemon goes back to the bench, they shake off the poison. So let's see how the coin flips treat me. Well, looks like I'll end up with just barely hanging in there with 10 points. And of course, now I finally get the Muck card to show up. Oops, not what I want. Put another Weezing on the bench. I'm going to go ahead and use an X speed here. I'll go ahead and retreat back. And from there, go ahead and place one dark energy there. Throw a potion on my bench. Go ahead and throw a... I'll hold on to it for a moment. Put Giovanni on. Go ahead and do my gas leak ability. Again, the build that you're looking for on this is the way you want the cards to be dealt to you, is to be able to get a heavy hitter like a Zapdos or a Pikachu, and then come in with Muck and, you know, get that extra. Basically, it's 120 points damage. Very effective. All right, so it's going to be what the coin flips have in mind. See what happens this turn. Oh wow, 200. And with that, it takes me out. Alright, well, we'll chalk that one up to a mistake early on. But I think that will kind of give everyone an idea of how powerful and strong this deck really can be. And with that, go ahead and finish up. Then a thanks. And now let's dive into our number 4 deck. Okay, so number 4 is a metal deck. So let's take a look at this particular deck. Let me jump over here real quick. So this deck is built with 2 Poniard, 2 Melton, 2 Bisharp, 2 Melmetals, 2 Potions, 2 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, 1 red card, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Giovannis, and 1 Sabrina. Okay. And also streaming on the screen, with each deck I play, I'll have the stats up on the screen, the build-outs as well, so that if you want to get a screenshot, save it for later, you'll have a reference right there. So, all right, let's go ahead and play a match with the metal deck. So this is my number 4. Now, the reason I put this at number 4 and a little bit ahead of the poison deck is just because Melmetal has a little more damage capability and a little more tankiness too. So that's kind of my thoughts behind that. Another great deck though. Poison, nothing to sneeze at with the poison deck. Metal coming in at number 4. All right. I don't know if any of you play much of metal decks. I actually really enjoy them. See how I do on this. Just waiting for my opponent to set up. So it looks like we're looking at a fighting deck. One of my favorite, probably my favorite energy for Pokemon TCG Pocket is fighting. I seem to really gravitate towards decks that have fighting Pokemon, as you'll see as we kind of go through the top 5. All right, I'm going to start off with a Professor's Research. I know I'm going first, so I'm not going to see an immediate energy. I'm going to go ahead and put down my other basic card. And from there, that is going to pretty much end my turn. All right, so we've got a Hitmonlee, a Sandshrew, and a Machop. So chances are we're at least going to potentially see at least the EX maybe down the road. All right, so let's go ahead and get our tank kind of up and going. I'm going to go ahead and start pumping him with some energy. Typically, I'd like to build him from behind, but I only had that one card to play, so with a 3 retreat, it's going to be a little difficult to do a lot. And so I need to at least get a couple of energy on him so I can switch him back, get him back to the bench and finish working on him. Can't really attack, so with that, I'm going to end my turn. But yeah, strategy is a kind of let Melmetal kind of percolate on the bench, kind of get it, first you got to get it evolved, second you got to get it powered up, and then bring it into the active spot. Unfortunately, my hand that I was dealt forced me to kind of take that path, and I don't want to lose that Melton, so go ahead and at least evolve it initially, and then work my way back to the bench. 4 energy is quite a bit. Okay, so I've got another Pokeball. That will do it for my basics. Going to, like it says, I need 3 to retreat. I do have a second energy. I'm going to throw out an X speed. And with that, I'm going to step back and put a Poniard in play. All right. My opponent has 4 cards, so I'm going to go ahead and do a red card now. At least take one of their cards away. I'm going to reshuffle and grab just 3 this time. And with that, I'm going to end my turn. All right, let's see what my opponent has this time. So again, working on the top 5 budget decks at number 5 was a poison deck. Number 4, we've got a metal deck. Poison deck was centered around Muck and Wheezy. And this metal deck is really centered around Melmetal. Okay. I see an X speed being played. Hitmonlee is interesting because that card can actually attack your back of your bench. 10 points against my heavy hitter. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and got a second upgrade going. I'm gonna assign energy to Poniard just because I want to put a little bit of damage on that Hitmonlee. I've got that Machop I need to worry about because ultimately that one's probably going to turn into an EX card. One step closer. And there's the energy it's looking for. Okay, gonna go ahead and my Bishop. Bishop makes a great kind of early to mid game Pokemon. Decently tanky, good damage as well. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and apply another energy there. And I've got more than enough to finish it off. I'll go ahead and do a Metal Claw. So I take the early lead, but I'm I'm probably looking at a Machamp coming my way. Gonna move, he or she's moving Machoke into the active spot, and there's the Machamp, just like I was kind of thinking. Now, with an EX out on the table, there's a 2-point opportunity for me to score 2. So I know I'm going to be sacrificing some Pokemon here along the way. Unfortunately, though, I'm not sitting on a lot of energy. But I will go ahead and put that up front. Find some energy. It's probably not going to last long enough. As we'll put that there, we know it's not going to last. And with that, my turn ends. So a number 5 is a poison deck. Number 4 is a metal deck. And Machamp's a great card. Good tanky card with good damage. Alright, so I'm gonna... just gonna fall 1 energy short. If things could have played out just a little bit of differently, I could have exchanged back and forth and done some swaps and probably took out the EX in the end, but in this case, I'm gonna fall just a little bit short. 1 energy. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and use a Sabrina, although this is pretty much academic at this point. I could just go ahead and concede, but I'll just go ahead and finish this match out. And with 20 damage, there's not a whole lot I can do over there. Even if but I will. But if I retreat, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to finish this off. So I'm kind of stuck no matter what. So I'm just going to go ahead and end my turn and basically take the concession and the loss. All right, let's hope the opponent returns soon. I know I've got a few people on, so feel free to say hi and chat if you'd like. No need, though. If you're not comfortable saying hi or anything, or speak and type a different language. I know that I have probably about 110,000 subscribers, all from India and Indonesia. So my channel is kind of popular on that side of the world. Here in the US, I think I probably only have a few thousand subscribers. I'm on the west coast of the US. Right now it's 8:31 p.m. my time. I do have a long video form of the top 5 budget decks coming out here at midnight my time, so about 3.5 hours. And I see one person saying hi. Hello. Hi, Water and Whimsy. Okay, well, I guess one way to win is for your opponent to disconnect. That's one way to do it. Let the internet win the game for you. So we know that should have been a loss. So the first match I actually should have won. Second match I should have lost. I just didn't quite get the right hand on this one. All right, so we know the opponent didn't turn in time. All right, so that was number 5 and number 4. Number 5 was a poison deck. Number 4, metal deck. Well, let's go ahead and move on to number 3 of my top 5 budget decks. Let me jump over to my decks. And where do I have it hidden at? There is it. All right, a Cinccino. So the story behind Cinccino is it's kind of like a poor version of Pikachu EX. Basically plays the same, just without as much health and needing 1 extra energy. But if you can get that bench stacked, you can, definitely early mid-game pull off a victory. So this is my Cinccino deck. And this one is a ultra budget deck. So again, budget deck 1 to 3 diamonds, nothing 4 diamond or above, and any number of evolutions. Ultra budget, only 1 and 2 diamonds with only 1 evolution. So in this case, the build out's going to be, let's start with Minccino and Cinccino. I'm going with Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. Now, the reason I went with those is 1, they have a 1 energy attack. And the nice thing is they also have a 1 energy retreat. Now, Hitmonlee can do 30 points of damage to bench Pokemon. So that's pretty significant. So I like that idea of being able to kind of pepper the back line. And then as far as the rest of the build out for this deck, 2 potions for healing, 2 XPs for retreat, 2 Pokeball for summoning, Professor's Research, 2 of those, 2 Giovannis, and 2 Sabrinas. Now, except for Cinccino itself, everything else here, all 4 of the Hitmons, and then obviously the Minccino, they're all basic Pokemon. So I'm hoping I can fill my bench pretty quick and get enough, last a little bit long enough for Cinccino to get in and function as a kind of a poorer version of Pikachu EX. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and dive into battle. Another versus random match. I'm going to switch out my deck. Do my, out of top 5, this is number 3, Cinccino. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'll also make sure that on the screen, I've got the build out of this Cinccino deck. You can feel free to take a snap of that and can use it for reference. All right, so I won the coin flip, which is usually you want it to be the other way around. I decided to go ahead and use a full Pikachu setup for the cards and the coins and everything else, since this is kind of the core version of Pikachu EX. I've got 1 basic Pokemon to start. And we're off and running, and it looks like we're going to be up against a Mewtwo EX deck. At least that's my first guess. Most common usage for Ralts. Alright, let's go ahead and use a Pokeball. It gives us a Hitmonlee. We're off there, and I've got my Minccino, can do 20 attack. Just taking a look here. Alright. Nothing really else to do. And with that, I'll end my turn. Okay, let's see what my opponent could start off with a ramp for 10. Ooh, 2 Ralts. Still expecting to see a Mewtwo EX to pop out here. Could be a spicier version of a Psychic deck doing something else. Shouldn't make that assumption, but that would be the most likely scenario. Alright, and then, because I have fighting Pokemon in, you know, I'm going to be getting fighting energy. And the nice thing about Ticino is this is all just colorless. So there's, as you can see, I'm going to have to get up to 3 energy. So it's just going to kind of make a mad dash to make this happen and see if it can happen before I lose this Pokemon. And from there, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I needed to put that one. I'm going to go ahead and retreat and put Hitmonlee up front. You know, obviously I want to save. Go ahead and heal this one. And with that, I'm done. I want to see if I can build up the energy on my Cinccino without it taking too much of an attack. Alright, so, well, this is an interesting start for my opponent. I'm surprised we haven't seen anything else other than the Gardevoir line. There we go. Wow, nice golden crown card too. Very nice. I've yet to loot a golden crown card. I don't know about anyone else, how you guys have done. I'm not a free-to-play player, but I'm definitely a low funds, very low funds player. All right, so Mewtwo EX is in the driver's seat. And we know we've got... I'm going to go ahead and put my Hitmonchan down. And from there, I think I will... The whole intent of this deck is to get Cinccino active and going. So with that, those bench Pokemon would need 3 attacks from my Hitmonlee. So with Pikachu EX sitting active, I'm not going to be able to last that long. So no sense applying energy to that card. Wow, and you can't ask for much of a better hand being dealt to my opponent. 2 Gardevoirs and a Mewtwo EX, a gold one, active already. So this is going to be pretty academic for me at this point. Professor's research. And Mewtwo EX deck is what I'm recommending and what I plan to use for the consecutive wins event that's coming up soon. See here. I'm going to go ahead and throw an attack. Mewtwo EX is kind of my prediction of what's going to probably work really well. I also think Charizard EX, Arcanine EX is a great deck. We've seen how popular it's become lately in the tournaments. And in a couple of days, I'll have my weekly tournament review video out where I take a look at what's hot in the meta for tournament play and kind of share where the trends are on that. That should come out in a few days. And I've heard there's some extra, another small expansion pack of cards coming out pretty soon as well. And I'm hoping that will shift up a lot of what's going on in the meta. If not, we know sometime in January we'll see a whole new set of packs. And that definitely will probably shift everything around. All right, so my opponent couldn't have done much better than where they're at. Not a whole lot I can do at this point. Whether I give energy to my front line or my back line, I'm not going to be able to survive that fully powered Mewtwo with 2 Gardevoirs sitting behind on the bench feeding energy. But I don't want to concede just so that everyone can see a little gameplay of the deck, because that's really the important thing here. And with that, I will end my turn. All right. see, here comes a couple of energy feeds probably. And here comes a side drive. And with that, I'm down 2-0. We'll at least get to exercise my Chinchino. Oops. But, there we go, on the bench. Use a Sabrina. Finally pulled one up to at least get Mewtwo out of the active spot. At least for one turn. And with that, basically, this is the equivalent of basically a Pikachu EX. So I'm going to at least score 1 point here. Obviously, a hand didn't quite go my way, and it went pretty much perfect. As a Mewtwo EX deck player, I would have loved to see that kind of setup happen to me. But we'll let Mewtwo go ahead and finish off my Chinchino. With that, that'll take care of this match. And again, so top 5 budget decks at number 5 was a poison deck around Muck and Weezing. Number 4 was a metal deck around Melmetal. Number 3 is a Chinchino deck centered around Chinchino and Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. All with basic cards to fill up your bench and a lot of 1 energy, 1 retreat Pokemon. All right, Grandmaster D with a great battle there. Make sure to say thanks. Okay, we're down to number 2. Let's go ahead and get the second top 5 number 2 of my recommended budget decks. And that is going to be actually one of my favorite decks. This is a fighting deck with 2 promo Mankey cards from the Lapras EX event. Reckless Charge is the key to this deck. Mankey gets 10 points of damage, so he takes a little bit of damage. And then if you get a good deal, Primate steps in, you involve Mankey to Primate. And then basically you're doing with Primate's Fight Back, you're doing 100 points of damage. 2 energy, 100 points of damage is a great attack for your early to mid game. This deck is going to get weaker as the game goes on. You do have Kabuto and Kabutops. Kabutops is pretty tanky at 140. Leech Life is a 1 energy attack that only does 50, but you also heal 50. So until you get into the later game, you're gonna have some viability there. The other nice thing is this fossil line doesn't even start until you use a Dome Fossil. So you're pretty much guaranteed to at least get a Mankey out front, and if the hand can kind of go your way and the card you're dealt goes your way, you can get a great start to knocking out Pokemon. And typically when you're going to win with this deck, that's kind of what happens, is you get a pretty good hand dealt to you. All right, as far as the rest of the cards, so we've got 2 Mankey, 2 Primate, 2 Kabuto, 2 Kabutops, 2 Potion for heals, 1 X Speed for basically retreating. You'll see that most all these cards, if not all, they're all 1 energy retreat. So you don't need to really have a lot of X speed in there. 1 Pokeball. You only need 1 Pokeball because you're not going to have to summon Kabuto because of the Dome Fossil, and it wouldn't make sense to have 2 Pokeball because you're already going to start with 1 from the first turn of the Mankey. So you only need 1 Pokeball. The 2 Dome Fossil to start the evolution for Kabutops, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Giovanni, and 2 Sabrina. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into a match. This is the number 2 deck. Basically a Mankey Primate Kabutops fighting deck. Number 2. And let's get started. So overall, I've won 1 of 3 with these decks. I would say That's accurate. The one I won, I should have lost, but that was a disconnect. And the one I lost, first one, I should have won. All right. Let's see how this goes. So again, thank you for joining. Thanks for watching the live stream. And this video will be available after. Also, it'll be complemented with a video coming up in about 3 hours. That is kind of a longer version of this with the kind of explanation of what's going on. All right, so we know we're going to get a Mankey up front. Waiting for your opponent to return. Okay, that's not a good start. Hit start battle. I got a couple Professor's Research in my hand, so that is a good start for me. Give me a couple opportunities, hopefully to get the cards out I'm hoping for. Obviously, that would be a Primate. And I see a Farfetch'd and a Cubone. All right, so probably a Marowak EX deck. I'm going to go ahead and place my Mankey down. I'm going to go with a Professor's Research to see if Professor Oak can deliver me a good card that I could use early, and he did not. And with that, my turn's done. And when you have this deck and you lose the coin flip, it's a great, and if you have a Primate already in your hand, it's an amazing start. You can really hit hard and fast early. This deck is strong in the early to mid game. It definitely gets weaker as it turns into a longer game. All right, so there's 1 point from opponent. Okay. Let's see here. All I have left is my Mankey. I'm going to go ahead and... So if I attack, I know I'm going to be at 40, and so go ahead and use a Sabrina. I have my Professor's Research, but I think I'd rather right now do this. And probably be able to come back and get me, but it's worth a try here. So this is the number 2 deck, Mankey Primate Kabutops fighting deck. Of the top 5 budget decks, this is not an ultra budget deck like the Cinccino was, but for players who are just starting out and don't have a lot of cards or say resources or real money resources, this is a great deck to work towards. All right, and with that, I'm going to finish off. I was gambling that wouldn't happen, but it did. Okay. All right. We are down to the number 1 deck. Let me go ahead and open this up. Let's get the number 1 deck. So the number 1 deck is an ultra budget deck, and it is a Blaine deck. This deck right now is really hot and effective for the Venusaur event. This is the deck that I use to kind of blast through that entire event from start to finish. I think I ended up took me 25 matches. I think I only lost twice the entire time. And was able to get the Venusaur. I actually got the Venusaur in every language using this deck. Quite effective again in the Venusaur event. So this is my number 1 budget deck, and it's an ultra budget deck. So again, ultra budget means no more than 2 diamond for the cards, and no more than 1 evolution for the Pokemon. So as you can see, it's going to use 2 Vulpix and 2 Ponytas. Those are going to be your basic Pokemon. Your stage 1 evolutions will be Ninetales and Rapidash. Let me jump down real quick. I'll change the screen just to show for a moment what the budget deck number 2 looked like, if anyone wants to get a snapshot of that on the screen. Continue on. So we got the Ninetales and Rapidash. And the key to this deck is Blaine. So Blaine is able to give an extra 30 points of damage to Ninetales, Rapidash, or Magmar. And we don't have Magmar in here, but 30 points is a great boost. And unfortunately, you can't stack Blaine and say Giovanni. But that extra 30 points, especially on Ninetales, is pretty amazing. 120 points of damage. So back to and it only takes 2 energy to get Ninetales going. So that's really nice. So after the Vulpix, Ponyta, Ninetales, and Rapidash, we have 1 potion, 1 X speed, 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor Research, 2 Blaines, 2 Giovanni, and 2 Sabrinas. And that makes the Blaine deck, which is my #1 budget recommended deck, and it's also a ultra budget deck. Let me go here and get into a random match. I'm going to change over to my Blaine here. Now I'm going to go ahead and show on the screen what this top deck looks like. Again, you're looking at 2 Vulpix, 2 Ninetales, 2 Ponyta, 2 Rapidash, 1 Potion, 1 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Blaines, 2 Giovannis, and 2 Sabrinas. So my intention on this deck is I'm going to try to get Ninetales active. Rapidash is secondary for damage, but I'm really trying to get that Vulpix to Ninetales connection going. The nice thing about Vulpix is it has a tail whip attack that basically kind of keeps your opponent from attacking you. And if you can land that coin flip, sometimes that'll buy you enough time to get Ninetales active and going. All right, so this time it looks like I've got a Ponyta to start the match. And I'm starting off against a Pidgey. And I'm going first. I won the coin flip, so I really don't have anything else I can do. I definitely don't like to be in a situation where I don't have any bench Pokemon. As we saw earlier in one of my previous matches, how, you can lose the match before you even take 3 knockouts. So with this, I have no need to use any of the cards that I have, so I'm basically done. On to turn 2 for my opponent. See what they have planned and what's in store for me on this match. So again, top 5 budget decks. Number 5 was a poison deck. Number 4 is a metal deck. Number 3 was a Chichino deck. Number 2 is Mankey Primate Kabutops. And the number 1 budget deck is a Blaine deck, a fire deck. Okay. There's a Vulpix, so I'm going to like that. I know that I need 2 energy for Ninetales to get active. I've only got a Pidgey against me right now at 10 points of damage, so I'm going to go ahead and power up my Vulpix. And at the same time, I'm going to bolster my health by evolving my Ponyta into Rapidash. I've got Blaine, Giovanni, and X speed, but I'm going to go ahead and hold off on using any of those and basically just end my turn. All right, I know I've got a few viewers on watching live. Feel free to say hi in the chat if you're interested. If not, that's okay too. All right, my opponent's got a... looks like a... Ghastly. Very nice. Now it looks like we can kind of go ahead and use this deck the way it wants to be played. So I'm going to go ahead and evolve my Vulpix to Ninetales. Going to use my X speed, place it on Rapidash, and that's basically going to give me a free retreat, which is perfect for what I'm looking for. I now have 2 energy. And with that, the 90 points, I don't need to use Blaine with an extra 30, and I'm going to go ahead and launch a flamethrower attack. And with that, I take an early 1-0 lead. Alright, so the Ghastly's going to come up. The new Haunter card's pretty cool. And of course, Gengar EX, I have on my channel a complete deck build out of Gengar EX deck. Pretty fun one to play. All right. There's the Haunter. Probably a little will-o-wisp action, but you know, my opponent is kind of be in the same situation that I've been in. I haven't been able to get the right cards. So unfortunately, we'll finish this match for them. I was just on the receiving end of this not too long ago, so I can sympathize. And with that, that is our number one budget deck. All right. Go ahead and finish this off real quick. And a thanks. Okay. I'll rotate through on the screen on my overlays. So at number 5 is, on the top 5 budget, number 5 is a poison deck with 2 Grimer, 2 Muck, 2 Coughing, 2 Wheezing, 2 Potions, 2 X-Speed, 2 Pokeball, 2 Red Card, 2 Professor's Research, and 2 Giovanni. At number 4 on the top 5 budget decks is a metal deck. This one consists of Poniard, so 2 Poniards, 2 Bishop, 2 Melton, 2 Melmetal, 2 Potion, 2 X-Speed, 2 Pokeball, 1 Red Card, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Giovanni, and 1 Sabrina. At number 3 on the top 5 for budget decks is our first entry of an ultra budget deck. And again, an ultra budget deck is a deck that has no more than 2 diamond for rarity and no more than 1 stage for evolution. And that is the Cinccino deck. And the Cinccino deck consists of 2 Minccino, 2 Cinccino, 2 Hitmonlee, 2 Hitmonchan, 2 Potions, 2 X-Speed, 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Giovanni, and 1 Sabrina. Or excuse me, 2 Sabrina. All right. Number 2 of the top 5 budget decks is a Prime 8 Mankey Kabutops combination deck. And that consists of 2 promo packs, and that's from the Lapras EX version of Mankey, 2 Primeapes, 2 Dome Fossil, 2 Kabuto, 2 Kabutops, 2 Potion, 1 X-Speed, 1 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Giovanni, and 2 Sabrina. And at number 1 of the top 5 budget decks is our second ultra budget deck on the list, and that is a Blaine deck, which is a fire deck. And that consists of 2 Vulpix, 2 Ninetales, 2 Ponyta, 2 Rapidash, 1 Potion, 1 X-Speed, 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Blaines, 2 Giovanni, and 2 Sabrina. All right. Well, I want to say thanks to everyone who joined the stream today. This video will be available afterwards. It hopefully is a good reference for everyone on top 5 budget decks. I know there's a pack expansion coming out here soon. I'll definitely be making adjustments to the top 5 as that happens. And then when we get the big second version of the packs that come out in January, I'll definitely be making updates there. So, and if things change, maybe, you know, the meta kind of switches around a little bit and this top 5 needs a little reorganization, you might see some updated videos as well. And then again, tonight in about 3 hours on my channel, we'll come to long form version of what we just kind of went through tonight. Just want to say thanks to everyone. I appreciate you joining and following along. And as always, let's battle.